Kumbaya, my lord, Kumbaya. And I have to say this, I've discovered something. Some of us in this world take a little while after catching your attention to say what they have to say. You know, if you're an impatient person like me, that's a very difficult thing to handle. So the person comes up to you and says, it happens too often. So I'm thinking we should have a cutoff. I think 3 seconds for a thought that you initiate but don't complete is enough. So I count to three now in my mind. Someone goes, listen, I I say thank you. I'm out. I'm gone. There has to be a limit. Time is very important. Time in most cases is money. During the pandemic, not so much. Time is just time and endless time. But I just think we have to put a limit to everything. And so I'm giving you 3 seconds. All those in favor, raise your hands and send us comments whenever you feel like. Maybe in the next episode, because I'll be disregarding your comments in this one. Right now, we've got a special cock and bull. It is still cock and bull because Hillary, who hates sports, will join us. But Nishad from Niche Sports, please follow him, who's very much a sporty figure. Let me tell you that in his young career of just 3 or 4 years, he's worked with the IPL, he's worked with different teams, he's worked with the management, he's worked with the coaching side, and he's worked on ESPN Sports, he's worked on all kinds of other sports companies, and all this for very meager pay. This is real love for the sport. This takes us back to the 50s. Let's get him in. Nishad, where are you, Baba? Please enter the show. And
There
like
I am.
magic.
There.
Yeah, technology.
You had to mention the meager pay, na? Like, so at least
Yeah.
some scope for it to go up now.
Yeah, besides I'm such a disgusting man. I can't be nice for long. That's why I really shouldn't be in PR. Yeah, I just can't. Yeah, but I'm not off the mark. But Miga, I don't know. There I'm wrong. I'm just pulling your leg. But
No,
in
no.
such a short career, you've really done a lot of stuff, left, right, and center. In fact, you're like an all-round person outside playing. If you look, because you've been in the broadcast section of it all, where you've been everything from like anchoring. I mean, you do have your own site as well as almost coaching, I would say, in a sense, because you're literally with the players. If we have time, we can get to all that as well. And what's most interesting is you've just told me, I didn't know this, that you teach at a sports management college,
Yeah, I do.
uh,
I do.
which is wow. And you spend the whole day doing that, and then we force you to come here and do this stupid program. So I apologize. So just a quick thing about the sports management thing, because we didn't mention this when we spoke to you initially, with the show called Nishad the Great. That show didn't feature this, but was it on at that time? The sports management thingy?
When was that show? Was it earlier this year or previous year? Because I
No,
started
last year.
teaching
Last year.
in 2021. I had done so. I
We don't
started
repeat
earlier this
guests
year.
every year. We are not that bad. We give you a 1 year gap, minimum 1 year. Then you get your test recall back into the squad. But just so sorry. So just tell us quickly, because you just mentioned offline is Nilesh Kulkarni, left arm spinner from Mumbai, and also for a couple of tests for India. So just quickly, what's that about?
So there is an institute here called the International Institute of Sports Management. It's
Hmm.
in Bombay in Andheri, and so they've got different courses for sports management. And one of the people they've engaged is me. I do. So I taught media and marketing last semester to, I think, the bachelor's degree, and this time for the master's degree, I sort of combined what I'm teaching them sports law, and I finally completed the course today.
So this is where
And
you make
syllabus.
more. This is where you get paid a lot, right? This is the one which really rakes in the big bucks.
Yeah,
Um,
expertise, absolutely. I mean, how many people can you get,
Hey,
who've sort
Baba,
of done
it's sports
law?
management. I want to get into sports management to make money for both the
Yeah,
sportsman and myself, or the company,
exactly.
team, NBA, whatever it is, IPL. So yeah, that's the bottom line. Is a very capitalist point here.
But I
Please
went to
join
my
the sport.
college last week. I went to my law college last week after like 8 years, and yeah, and I
You
told
didn't
a
complete the
professor that I'm
degree
teaching
for eight
sports law.
years. Oh,
Now I
okay.
finished my degree. And
Uh,
as I like to say, I attended university there. I didn't study there.
that's fine. That's fine. So the marks are what count. Nobody wants to know what you did in the classroom or who you were sitting with. Okay, let's get into it. We've got so much to talk about. This is a sports special, cricket special episode. We'll try and fit in a little footy if we can. No other sport matters. Amit, if you're listening, to basketball. Um, we can go back in the year, Nishad. I'll let you freewheel whatever you want to. But I thought we'll just start right at the top, because South Africa, I mean, as we speak, we're looking at Sunday. This is Thursday evening. We've got I won't call it a depleted squad, but we lost a couple of big guns. And the opening pair, for me, since you have no practice match, you have no idea what net practice they're doing. I know they're playing football of some kind, but can you choose your openers over football? How does that work? Because you've got
Well,
Mayank Agarwal in cracking form. Okay, let's face it.
hmm,
KL walked back into the team. What do you do there? Rohit Sharma goes out. Who then takes the next spot, the third spot? Rather, are you sticking with KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal? Are you going to experiment because then Rahane doesn't get in? What do we do?
Go with KL and Mayank, because Mayank has got the runs in Mumbai, and you have to keep him in the side. And then of course you've got KL, who got those runs in England.
England.
So you've got to get him in. And plus he's vice captain now, so
Yeah,
that is there is an implication you can't drop him. And
yeah.
remember, these guys actually have been the best of friends since the age groups,
Oh
and
yeah, they are
they opened
Bangalore
the batting in
buddies.
the under 19 World Cup. Yeah, so
Right,
it's
right.
they've done
They're
it before.
actually chuddy buddies. Let's be frank
Yeah.
here. We don't know what kind of relationship they had, but it was extremely close. So that's
Yeah,
true.
really. They opened for India under 19 as well, Karnataka as well, and
But you buy that the buddiness in opening partnerships like you see, Desi Haynes and Greenwich both came from Barbados, although Greenwich grew up a lot in England as well. But they say that the buddiness of being the openers always works as against other members of the team who may not be friendly. Langer and Hayden got along really well. Hayden and Slater got along really well. Gavaskar and Chavan, Gavaskar and Shrikant. I mean, not the greatest partnerships, but pretty up there. What do you think?
yeah, I mean, I would say the buddiness works, especially if you see someone like a Langer and a Hayden. And when I spoke to Hayden, he spoke about the kind of relationship they had, with each other. Very different players, because Langer was someone who attacked the new ball, and Hayden was someone, who then blunted the attack. But and you, again, someone Langer was someone who had played a lot squarer, and Hayden went straighter. But he said that a lot of their values as human beings, they were on par. And one was from Western Australia, the other one was from Queensland, two opposite ends of the country, but they got along really well off the field. And that really, he said, our value systems were so similar that it
And
really played a part.
you could arguably say they're also the most intense. They're
Oh,
extremely intense cricketers. Intense. Langer even off the field is very intense. People are intimidated by him. He's not a very big guy, but he intimidates a lot of people. But no, my point here, my worry is not a worry, but it's a little mischievous. If our Kannadiga boys click, what happens then? Because when the big fish comes back, I mean, he walks in. He's Rohit Sharma, arguably the
hmm.
most talented player in the world in sheer talent. What do you do with this batting lineup? And I dare I say, if Kohli also gets runs, I'm not saying that you could have dropped Kohli yet. It's just that I think there's still petrol left in that tank. But I'm having trouble trying to put this six together. Bear in mind that we play five bowlers now. So keeping that as the new premise, okay, whether we're playing in India or abroad, is five bowlers. So I was just a little worried about that. I'm trying to figure out, does that spell? And this is so sad to say, but the two oldies are going to really struggle. You have a
Yeah.
fit Shubman Gill, you have Virat Kohli. You tell me, you do the maths. You tell us. What do you think?
Oh, it's really tricky. And remember, there's Prithvi Shaw also, who's waiting.
Not getting
He
it.
might come in. Yeah, he might come in. Priyank Panchal, who's now 31, he's made it into the side,
And
got
he
a
made a
ton of
96
runs.
in the A tour, which is
Yeah.
you made the runs on that soil with that kind of attack, etc. Used to the bounce. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of options. I think again it will be um, who gets more runs in this series, because the moment Rohit walks in, I think he becomes vice captain. Virat's around, can't
Also,
remember.
also the simple massive Rohit comes in and both the Kannadiga boys have done well. Then what happens is that 1, 2, and 3 is between them. However you want to play it, 1, 2, and 3 goes there, which means Pujara goes out. Now does he go to five? I don't know, because then you're
Yeah,
you're wondering about the new talent that we have that we want to push in as well. Names that we haven't mentioned yet, not including
Shreyas
the four
Iyer.
five you have. Shreyas Iyer, or how do you drop him? I don't know, 100 plus already. So yeah, abundance of riches, as we say.
And through
Uh,
all that, someone who's got possibly a raw deal is Hanuma Vihari. I mean,
can you
he
believe
took
it?
it. Yeah, I mean,
I want to
he
go
took
back.
it
I
on the.
hope we don't run out of time. I want to go back to all that. And I'm just thinking, what the hell? You and I discussed this threadbare, and we were in love with that guy because that partnership between him and Ashwin. I thought that really, if you look back at moments that really make a series classic, sometimes the moments aren't the greatest moments when you're looking at them, and then you realize later that they held them out at Sydney. It could have been 3 love that series. Okay, if we did hold
Absolutely.
them out at Sydney, and then just look how it turned slowly, just a little bit of tenacity, courage, great. They took so many blows, etc. And he's an unsung hero. You're absolutely right. And that to abroad, you're thinking he must be thinking abroad. I should have number six, but whatever.
Yeah.
Then of course the all-rounder issue. Sorry,
Yeah, exactly. And he's done what the team has needed. Like in Australia in 2018, he was asked to open the batting, and he did that. Didn't get the big score, but he spent time in the middle, blunted the new ball. So
Correct.
yeah, he would at
He's got
least
a
I
raw
hope.
deal.
Yeah,
We can't deny that. It's definitely a raw deal. But I'm saying Pant comes back at 6. You can't touch 6. If Shreyas is at
yeah,
5, okay. If Virat is at 4, if I put Rohit at 3 and don't touch the two boys from Bangalore, I'm just looking. And this is a very possible scenario. This is not something we're making up. I had no space for both of them. The two
yeah.
big oldies. I'm calling them oldies. There's only 33 and 34. No space for them. There's just no space because, as you mentioned, there's Prithvi Shaw waiting. There's Priyank Panchalu. Now, what the hell is he in the squad for if he doesn't get a call up before that? And there are a couple of names waiting in the ranks back home who are wondering why they aren't on the plane. I mean, I don't know. So what's your call? What are you going to do if you're the selector? Tell me honestly.
Okay, you're talking about the first test or in general later?
I'm no, I'm talking about just looking forward in the next 6 months. Indian cricket. I think we play Sri Lanka. We play the West Indies. To have a more settled lineup. You want to settle lineup. If you're playing Pant at 6 and then five bowlers, one of them being an all rounder, whether Jadeja plays again or not, I don't know. But we'll still play Ashwin at 7 then, as where I see it, or a Shardul Thakur or something like that, as a, if you want to call it, makeshift all rounder. India's future, India's batting lineup doesn't look like it can afford to have them. Is that a mean thing to say? Because I have a lot of time that 100 in Melbourne is probably one of the greatest Indian hundred, oh, hundreds by anybody. But look at the situation, the pressure. He gets the captaincy. The mighty Virat is gone, and the quiet Ajinkya is in, and he really delivered. We had tears in our eyes, you and me.
Oh
And that
yeah, we
Melbourne is
had.
just 1 year, one year,
And,
1 year
and
to
you
the
wanted
date.
to rename and you wanted to rename Mikhail to Ajinkya. You remember that?
I did. Hit me on the head and punched me in the stomach, and he's still a Steve Smith fan, so we don't get into that because the government will send us a letter. Bro, I don't know. I'm just feeling so bad because I really thought they've really done. They played so many interesting innings. Cheteshwar has done so well in so many conditions. What a huge record in India up to a point, and but I don't see how they can play in the next season.
No, and you've got to look at the future at some point because all of them are the trouble is all of them are the same age group, right? I mean, they played the under 19 World Cups around the
So
same
is
time.
Virat. So is
All are
Rohit.
33, 34.
All
Exactly.
are the 30, 34. All four of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, but the first two casualties, if I may use the word, would be firstly
Yeah.
Ajinkya, and then I think Pujara. But if Pujara gets big runs, then you never know. If he has a resurrection, as say someone like a Rahul Dravid had.
I'm thinking Nishad could start an India B side, which plays Test cricket. India A was India B, maybe more exciting than India against many, without disrespecting the nations, except the big four, the Sena countries. I mean, you go outside that, India A, India B will be more exciting. Okay, let's rewind a little bit now.
Yeah, yeah,
And then we'll
absolutely.
come at the end. We'll come back to your predictions on South Africa, so that we, keep that in perspective. I want to go back. We already discussed Melbourne. We couldn't believe our eyes. We thought India after 36 all out had no chance in hell. And what a turnaround. What great. And just the romance of Indian cricket again, that feeling you had in 83 in 2011, it's sort of rekindled again, 2007. So, take us to your thoughts on the Brisbane Test quickly. We just saw Australia obliterate England in the first set of the Ashes, business as usual. Almost every session was theirs from the beginning, 147 all out. But what the hell did they do wrong? They said 340 odd, 328 for Indian team on the last day against a crack bowling attack in their conditions with a new ball in hand, and they lost.
Oh yeah, and there is one anecdote that I tell people about. This happened at my home, and so basically my dad, he doesn't watch too many highlights of games. For him, the live sport is what it is, be it football, cricket. It's done. He'll have it in his memory. He'll watch his other shows and everything, loves his Netflix and all. But I saw the man one day going to YouTube, typing Gabba Test Day 5 highlights, and this is a few months after that, and watching the whole day again. I mean, 20 or 25 minutes, and then I'm
The
like, Dad, what are
arrogance
you
of Washington Sundar. That is
doing?
fantastic.
Yeah.
Believe it. But these guys were born well after, God knows, they had no fear of Australians. Sorry,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
you were saying.
exactly. I mean, that just shows how much it meant to, people who also seen cricket for a long time. And I think Gabba really ranks like
No, but if I was
way,
a
way
betting
out.
man, see, you and I love the game, okay? If you were a betting man, we could make money. And this is a warning to anyone who bets on cricket. It's against the law. We don't encourage it. I don't know Raj Kundra personally, but I'm just saying that I don't know whether anyone is involved with anything. But I'm just saying, in India, it's
Mm.
against the law, so we don't encourage it. But as a betting man, let's say living in Portugal, where it is allowed by law and they love cricket, you would immediately, without blinking, put your house on Australia defending 330 or whatever the hell it was with that attack. in the fourth innings at Brisbane, there was just no data to show that India would, upset the apple cart there. It's like India losing, India giving 400 to a team to chase in Indian conditions with our spinners. I mean, really, it's a no contest. So, I mean, this
And
is really people have to understand the importance of this win. It's just unbelievable.
it's unbelievable. And I thought at best they may draw. They may draw. And especially after Rohit got out early, I felt,
We thought.
yeah, we thought, now, because
I think
Rohit was
initially
someone who could
Ajinkya
score
looked like
quickly.
he was when Ajinkya, yeah, he looked like he was thinking of trying to prolong the game a little bit more, and then, but what he said later made sense. They were just trying to pace themselves to see whether the final onslaught could happen. But I think you can't tell Rishabh Pant what to do anyway,
No,
you
you
know.
can't.
And when he doesn't come off, he looks like a, whatever he looks like. But when he does come off, they didn't know what to do.
They didn't know
He was
what to
playing
do,
an
and
IPL match.
just the
Yeah,
audacity of it. He steps out to Lion, misses it. Tim Payne also misses it because it turns a mile and it goes for four. Next ball, he again charges down the track and deposits it right over long gone. And you just look at the audacity of it. The previous ball, it's like it never happened. I mean, any other batsman may have possibly waited on the back foot, not tried to do anything stupid, but he just backed himself and went and did it. And sometimes it
you
comes
know.
off, sometimes it doesn't. And
The greats of the game, exactly taken from your point, it's almost like they forget the ball before. It has no bearing on the match because they're always playing in the now. While some people have that baggage, and we would have it if as amateur cricketers. If you're beaten by the guy or hit on the shoulder or whatever, the next ball you're scarred. You're on the back foot, whatever. But there are some guys who really they've just forgotten it. I mean, Sheva comes to mind immediately. Just forget it. They make the game really simple, and sometimes you're wondering, are we idiots like you and me, Pandit, just complicating something? This guy comes like a mad genius. Exactly what you said. Should have been out. Doesn't give a damn. Next ball in, over the top. Oof, you can't believe it. But for me, the Washington Sundar moment where he hits that six,
oh
I
yeah.
my hair stood up, and I was like, what? What are they on? And you could see the Aussie body language change. You could see them like a punch in the guts. Anyway, we got to move on from that. But what a romance, man! And I know
Oh
we didn't
yeah.
win that T20, and we will talk about that. But you give me beat Australia in Gabba and T20 World Cup, and I'm so sorry to say this, but I will say this: burn me, come on tomorrow, destroy me. I want you to mutilate me. I don't care. I will take Gabba every day. What about you, Nishad?
I will take Gabba because it was historic. 31 years or something that they hadn't
So
lost.
many teams, great teams, good Indian teams have gone there. Crack West Indian teams in the 90s still having some power. Good English sides with their top pace attack and this and that. New Zealand conditions somewhat
Pakistan,
similar here.
the 90s of
Pakistan,
Pakistan.
90s,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Sorry, I forgot Pakistan. South Africa, the one team you always think goes head to head with them. And not this South African team, which we should beat, but that South African team from the past. And these guys were unbeatable, and they played the game in such a way that I would say they set it up for themselves on day five. On day five, when they woke up, Australians must have got up and said, "Okay, mate, bubble drinking up here in about 2 hours and 20 minutes, 1.5 sessions. Should bowl the team out." But शायद यार मतलब दिल्ली से आ गए यार
It's like,
मतलब समझ में नहीं आते.
yeah, but
I don't care about this.
it's like at Kolkata, you remember one of the Aussie players actually had a few cigars ready because in expectation to celebrate, especially on day four. But then Rahul and VVS batted the whole day.
Oh, that was another. My God, really. Sometimes if you put together these 5 or 6 Indian moments which don't make sense, and you just think of them back to back, I think you'll think you're in a coma or something. It's just not. It's just unbelievable. I've told this story before. We were shooting with colonial cousins, and I was just
Yes, I
checking with
remember
my
that story.
mom, and I remember because we didn't have any other option. I was calling her up and saying, "Mom, what's the score? What's the score?" I was just checking, thinking, just get this match over with, and so I wasn't that keen because I thought it's ending very fast. Second innings now, follow on. No, still batting. Then the shoot got over and we started running away home and it was like almost end of day's play. What? 200 plus? What are you talking about? That poor Rahul Dravid made 180 and nobody remembers. 180 in a test match in the second innings against an Australian attack, the best Australian attack since the 48 Invincibles, and no one remembers. It's just why we digressing, Nishad? Like this, we 20 minutes into the show, we only in January.
Yeah, I know. We are only in
We've got 11 months to cover. Okay,
We've
let's
got
let's
11
fast
months to
forward a
come
little
out.
bit.
Yeah.
No,
But
fair
we've
enough. But
we've got a
But
few breaks.
Brisbane
So
deserved.
yeah,
And Brisbane
Brisbane
deserved that
deserved.
love, yeah. So that was the ghazal. That was the superfluous music that we have. Now we get some pop music out. England flattered to deceive. One test match. Why is it that we lose the first test match? What's that story? Any series
I don't
we
know.
always give away. I'm sure Boxing Day test is just, which will come to towards the end. I'm sure we'll just give it to them and then beat them in the next two. So what's the story with India?
It is strange, I mean, is it a mindset thing? Because it's been happening
Are
for
we bad
years
travelers?
now.
Do we take time? Is that it?
I wouldn't say we are bad travelers, but
But
maybe in
then
the first
we lost
test
at home
you're
as well.
trying too many things, and those things aren't working out. Possibly, you're trying this, you're trying that, and it just,
See,
we don't know.
Chennai,
Like,
Chennai first test and Chennai second test, and I was coming back to Chennai from Dubai in between, so I remember this clearly. There's a huge difference in the wicket. I mean,
yeah,
it spun. The second test spun like, I mean, God knows, for like a top, and the first didn't really, low and slow, which allowed our sweeper from England, the world number one batsman who was toppled a few minutes ago by Marnus, to make a double century, if you remember.
yeah, and
So
I think
we
that
were
just
caught off
freaked
guard.
India out. Yeah, it just freaked
He
India out, I think, after that. I mean, the way he got those runs, and
and
it was just
But
a
but
little
but
too
but there was a
much.
story there. He got some runs, but not much support. So what you're seeing is, again, a one-man show. And England has, they're discussing, and I've been listening to all their podcasts, because I love the way Nasir Hussain and people chat. I got to tell you, England is not looking inwards to the fact that Joe Root is the only batsman. You're looking at the
Hmm.
plethora of batsmen around him. What are the averages? You know what the averages are, Nishad? You probably know better than me. They're like in their 20s and all, bro. Ollie
Yeah,
Pope has played 100 matches. What is his average?
no,
Johnny
it's on the
Bairstow's on
high
the
side.
sidelines and going to replace him has got no runs for 10 tests. What are you talking about? And the
Actually,
openers,
Ollie Pope is the only one who's got a good average. All the others, like, look at Burns, Sibley, they aren't as impressive. And in fact, I think I've just got it here. Ollie Pope, his average is, yeah, it's in the first class average. If we are going to look at that, it's 51. So
yep.
yeah,
But I'm
so
talking
he's
about
the
this
only
test
one.
average. Had so many opportunities. Where are the runs?
Yeah, he's not.
It
So
put them as Indians. Put them as Indians. They won't be. What will they get? We have to get rid of, it's almost like Rahane and Pujara. We can't put them in 11, and it's not like they've completely failed. They've
yeah,
had a
exactly.
year and a half, which has not been that good. But I mean, they're still there thereabouts. But these guys get so many chances, and they've got a Joe Root who's batting last two seasons the best batting England has had for since Alistair Cook, but no one to support him. So, and that's something which, how are they going to win the Ashes? You cannot win the Ashes with one
You cannot.
batsman in Australian conditions. Look at the way we just mentioned Hanuman Vihari, that huge partnership there. Sundar had a little bit, Thakur batted well, and of course our Offie, who has 5 Test centuries, and we have to talk about Ravi versus Ravi if we have time. Also performed. So I just say they just don't have enough talent. Is that a fair thing to say? Batting talent?
They don't have, I think, enough first class batting talent, I think, which has
That's
come through first class cricket. And they're saying now, I read somewhere someone saying that there are too many teams possibly, and England aren't picking, because you look at some of the talent in white ball cricket and it's amazing, and
Yeah.
it's just a
So Liam
reversal.
Livingston is the answer. They were discussing that, but Liam Livingston, I mean, that's a punt. You really think a
Yeah.
guy who hits the ball harder than anybody else is the one to put in the Australian conditions? I'm saying it's possible. It's not nothing. I mean, who knows? Can't say for sure. But let's just quick forward. Second, third, and fourth test was a massacre. In fact,
Hmm.
it just got ridiculous. By the fourth test, they couldn't play spin. I mean, they
Hmm.
saw firstly they couldn't pronounce Akshar's name, then Axa and Aksa and whatever the hell they said to him.
So you
But
know the story about it being AXAR, right?
yeah, yeah, I
uh
think you
so
did tell us, but do say it again.
so he actually used to spell it AKSHAR. Went to apply for a passport, and the passport officer there made it AXAR, so he just had to run with it.
But why did the passport officer do that?
I have
Was
absolutely
he
no idea. It just
was he a
happened.
ri- was he a left arm Chinaman, and so there was a rivalry? Just bad
Yeah,
cricket
who
joke.
knows?
I'm sorry. Yeah. So anyway, just to get to, let's talk of more positive side, which is India's side. So then again, we are the kings that we always were. I was always worried that Indian batsmen playing spin have deteriorated. I think we've discussed this also, possibly not on the show, but we have, you and me. And I'm not trying to compare the Gavaskar era or anything like that, but I'm just thinking they would be waiting for the off spinner to come on from England. I mean, you look
Hmm.
at the Vishwanaths, the Gavaskar, that lineup, and they were like, okay, this is going, because that would be like a club spinner for them, considering what we had at home. And then suddenly we looked at pace bowling. And I'm talking about domestic sides. We have the Hazare going on as we speak, and everywhere there's plethora and plenty of fast bowlers and less spinners. And where are the off spinners in Mumbai, for example? They seem to have dried up. Okay, as you can see, how pathetic performance is just now this last couple of weeks. So that was covered. You feel we still have talent. Akshar, at least in home conditions, he can't get to play because of 11 being what it is. Just a quick note here: Ijaz Patel has been dropped for the Bangladesh Test
Yeah.
match in Wellington. Right? He got 10 wickets. Now this is a world record. You take 10 wickets. Your last time you got a ball in your hand, and then you get dropped for the next test because they don't want a serious spinner in the 11. So they've got what's his Rachin, unbelievable name.
Ravindra.
But he's more a batsman who turns it over, doesn't he?
Yeah.
As far as I can see.
That's right.
So
And,
so
and
that's
imagine getting 10 wickets and getting dropped. It's like Andy Sandham getting that
im-
triple century in the 1930s and never playing again. But
yeah,
that was a different era.
yeah.
Jason
Also
Gillespie getting 201 and never playing again.
Yeah, that was also very sad. But the fact of the matter is the end of his bowling career, etc. So you can put it together somewhat. But here in this case, this guy's at his peak in a sense. He's come
Absolutely.
alive. He's brought breath into the New Zealand game, etc. But anyway, that's their problem for another day, which we can't solve right now because we've got our own. Quickly, so to be expected at the end, the 3-1 scoreline. They
Yep.
got that one anomaly of a wicket which didn't spin too much, and they took advantage of that. Don't have the batsman, and they came off. It was back to 1993. I remember Gooch's side where they just couldn't play the spin. And in between, they have these players who come like Graham Fowler, Mike Gatting, who do perform. David Garb made 200 in Chennai once, but I don't know how England at the moment for me, England and South Africa are looking very weak in the batting. Maybe I'm wrong in the Test batting lineup. I just feel where is the stars? Who's going to really shine? As we look at India, if India doesn't win this series, I honestly I'll be a wreck. I'll be a wreck.
It
I
is
can't think of a
India's best
weaker.
chance.
It's the weakest batting attack they've ever had. And now with Noke gone from the bowling,
Yeah.
it's severely weak in the bowling because that's the pair you have to worry about. Rabada and him
And you
together,
don't
right?
have Faf du Plessis anymore in the
Gone.
batting. Gone.
Duplessis
Yeah.
gone. De Villiers gone. Hashim Amla, though, don't forget that
Yeah.
rock gone. I mean, really. So, and De Kock out for this game as well, because of the birth of his child.
I
No,
think
no
so.
pun on no pun on his name, but
But,
well,
but
how it
when you're looking at a
happens.
South
Yeah,
African
yeah.
lineup, you've just got a Dean Elgar at the top,
That's it.
who really grits it out. That's it. And Aiden
Markham,
Markram hasn't quite
yeah,
lived up to his potential in red ball cricket. He definitely
yeah,
can do a lot more.
yeah.
And I don't know about the others. Like there
Bavuma
is a
looks good.
Bavuma.
Bavuma looks
He
good
looks
when he
good.
bats.
Yeah.
Sometimes on the offside, he looks fabulous. I do like watching him bat. I'll say that. But there are 30s, there are 40s. Where are the hundreds? Where are
Where
the
are the
big
hundreds
hundreds?
exactly? You
The
need those
daddy
guys.
hundreds, as Goose used to call them.
And South Africa they had all batsmen who used to get those daddy head hits.
You're
Graham
not going to
Smith.
beat India.
Hmm.
I don't want to be arrogant, but you will not beat this Indian team with 275 and 300. You've got to make some
No.
runs. You want to beat us, you got to make some runs. There's no way you make 275 and then bowl us out for 150. And also, I know 36 happened, so don't remind me. But by and
Yeah.
large, I say you're not going to beat us. There's just too much batting talent that we have till 10, for God's sake, if you look at it. And we prove
You've
that.
got batting
Applaud.
talent, you've got bowling talent. It's become really balanced. And
Mm.
South Africa, actually, the batting looks a little light now. With obviously with someone like a Nokia going out, they lose that extra zing in the bowling as well. Because you've got
Yeah.
Rabada. Rabada is good, no doubt. Ngidi is fine. I mean, but we thought he
But he
would
would be
be.
the third teamer.
Yeah, he would be
Uh,
another Rabada. We thought that, but he hasn't quite been the next
They've,
Rabada.
they've got that Dwan Olivier coming back, which is very
Dwan
confusing
Olivier.
because
Yeah.
of the whole callback thing. Very talented guy, then got upset about the racial quota thing and took off. Now they've brought him back. I'm not quite clear why and how, but I would put him in straight up. I think in their conditions, he could be a demon bowler. He can be really vicious and do things
Yeah,
with the ball, and
he
with
could
his
be.
height as well. But I think it's for us to lose. What do you say, Nishad? Fairly?
It's India's best chance. They should have won. They had a very good chance in 2010 as well, but that was an extremely good South African bowling lineup, and that was 1-1. 2013 again, it could have been 1-1, but 2018 missed opportunities, did not quite capitalize on those moments. So this is definitely the best chance because South Africa aren't that strong.
2018, I felt frankly that if we had played a five-test series, and it's a big call to make, I think we'd have won 3-2. I think by the time the third test came, we were really firing on all cylinders. But
Yeah,
again, we're slow starters. Certain wickets will always suit their bowlers, and their attack was more potent than it is today.
yeah, they attacked. They
4 years
had. I
later.
mean, you had Rabada, you had Stain as well, you had Mokel and Philander in the first test. Stain got injured, then went out.
Stain, Morkel, Philander go into top category of bowlers in any
Yeah,
generation. All three of them. Okay, top. And in their
yeah.
conditions, top. And I don't know, we have only Rabada. For me, at the moment, it's only Rabada and Juan Oliver walks in. That's it. So let's see how he performs. We have no idea about his form. Okay, that's the England series done and dusted. Then we had that World Test Championship. We traveled there. That was the only moment, because for
Oh.
me, the T20 hiccup wasn't that bad a moment. I felt there was overkill with IPL and the COVID problems, etc. But the World Test Championship, we had a nice break. We had long time in England before. We got a little preparation time. We got to watch their two tests against England. So, we were able to gauge the thing and
Hmm.
all that. But I honestly felt that was the only test match the whole year we were off, just
Yes.
just off our game. What do you think?
Of our game, and possibly we got it wrong with the selection. Possibly, you look at picking two spinners, although they did expect the wicket to turn later. You can't predict the rain, but having seen the surface on day one and the conditions, don't you think someone like a Siraj should have played instead of the extra spinner?
It's called hindsight, no, bro. Now we also were going to bat first, bat fourth. In the end of the
Yeah.
day, all these things come into consideration. But quickly, now that you segue there, Ravi versus Ravi. Ravi Ashwin is not holding back. He's better than me. I think you've watched and listened to everything he's had to say. Do you believe that Ravi and Virat not that fond of him, didn't want to play him? Why did we play him in those four tests that followed?
Again, that was really tricky and difficult to understand, but it looks like, I think, especially after the Lord's Test, having had that win, they just stuck with the winning combination. And to be fair to Ravindra Jadeja, I think he did quite decently, especially at the Oval as well, when on the last day you needed those wickets. But I felt Ashwin should have played, and I'm not really sure
But
why. We don't
traditionally,
know
at least at
exactly.
the Oval, you play two spinners. It's a
Yes.
tough call. But do you think he's been hard done by? But it's not just the England series. He says there has been no empathy for him, and in fact, that's the exact word he's using. Empathy is putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, being sensitive to the fact that I'm injured, that it's a real injury, helping me through it, and without pointing fingers and all, the management to be blamed by him.
No, I look at it in a very similar way to what happened to Kumble when Harbhajan did well in 2001, and for 2 years Harbhajan was India's number one spinner overseas, and Kumble was someone who sort of sat out. He also lost his ODI spot. He wasn't a regular anymore. And then you've got uh, you've got the Australia series, and then he just turns it around. Anil Kumble in 2003-4. Ashwin, similar age at the moment, had his injury issues. So I think, again, Judge being preferred for his batting, that may have been one of the cases. But yeah, it's really difficult to say what nowadays there is so much content in terms of, fine, this happened in the dressing room, that happened, he
I
said this, he said that. You
Nishad,
don't know what. Yeah.
not only that, everyone talks now. No? Thanks to this bloody Twitter and Insta and all that, everyone's opinions are out there. We don't even know if it's their own sometimes, but they're all talking. So you the Manjrekar versus Jadeja comes to mind immediately. I mean, it's or Pollard versus Manjrekar. Manjrekar, yes, has a few notches on his belt, but I'm saying that also is a problem, because I'm saying that how do people get along when on the face to face they don't have confrontations and talk things through, but through their people or through their internet voices they make their points heard. And this is not just in India, this is happening across the world of sport. So I think that's going to be a real problem going forward. I think we should ban them from the internet. While you're playing active sport, don't comment. Just play the game quietly.
And most player contracts actually have got a term, which says that you aren't supposed to tweet anything about any selection issues in advance. Nothing that you tweet should be, critical or shared critical of your teammate, of your team owner in case of an IPL, of your management or anything of that sort. So those terms are very much there. But again, now we look at, if you write something which is hinting towards something, but then you don't fall under that area. Again, my lawyer mind is working here, looking at the gray areas. So I think that's what happens. And sometimes social media and the noise coming from outside maybe just may, it just aggravates the whole issue. And that's possibly what we've seen in a lot of things. And yeah, I mean, there is a nice anecdote from VVS Lakshman's book, by the way. He when he announced his retirement the test match was in Hyderabad. He announced his retirement, and some of the Indian players called him and said that, oh, you're announcing retirement, you've announced retirement, so let's meet up. So a few like Sachin, Sehwag, Gambhir, and a few others went over to his place. MS wasn't there, and media caught wind of it. So then they started playing this thing about MS VVS not being happy with him, and VVS was asked why wasn't MS there, and he's like, you know how difficult it is to get through to MS, which it is. MS is not known to keep his mobile phone really active or to take calls. It's quite famous and well known. But then later, VVS was really troubled by the whole controversy that people are talking about him not getting along with MS. And apparently, when he meets MS next time, MS just tells him, why are you worrying about it? This happens to me all the time. Just forget about it. And they just have a good laugh about it. So a lot of it happens outside, the noise, and it just aggravates it. But possibly on the inside, it's not as bad. Possibly there may be issues. I mean, come on, you live at home with your family 12 months of a year. Of course, you don't get along all the time. These guys are spending more time with each other than their own families.
Yeah, we won't get into Virat versus Rohit here, but I'm sick of it now. But also, exactly that. Exactly that. The fact is that who cares? They fight here and there. They're humans. I don't care. We're winning. We're winning. Red ball
Yeah,
cricket, we're
exactly.
winning. That counts for me. We'll quickly get into England, where we led 2-1. We want to say the series is undecided, and we will play a test match next year in June. Fair enough. And that will decide it. If they win, it's equal to all. But for us, where we stand, it looked like, again, England was slightly out of their depth in their own conditions, which has never happened in the last couple of series.
And it could have
Um,
easily been 3-1. Nottingham, last day, if it hadn't rained, 3-1. I mean, if
3-1.
there is one result I'd like to change this year, it would be the Nottingham Test. I mean, there was a poll the other day with one of the cricket websites. I would have changed the Nottingham Test result. It would have been 3-1.
But what do you think? Just about 2 tours back, we were really struggling against England. I'm talking about the Rahul Dravid series where he made all the runs and nobody else did it. What a crack lineup we had. English conditions, the ball moves around. They still had their bowlers. Okay, Anderson may not be what he was, but he's nearly there. Broad was injured. But what changed where the Indian batting, we didn't seem to be struggling. We always seem to have a few runs on the board. Our late middle order fired. So what happened? The
I
conditions
think
were
the
the same.
the opening the opening got a lot better. Remember the last time we weren't quite sure about our opening. KL Rahul was not in good touch. He only opened later on when Pujara came back at three. Shikhar Dhawan was there, made a few contributions, was in and out. Then Murli Vijay was again struggling on that tour. This time, what happened was that you had a KL and a Rohit who are willing to spend time in the middle, and I think that made a big change because the bowling was the same. Bowling was nearly the same with the addition of a Mohammad Siraj, but the opening combination made a big difference. They
I think that's a
contributed
fabulous
when it
point,
was
Nishad.
really mattered. Yeah,
I think in both these countries, you need the openers to fire. Australia, and if you're going to take down Australia and Australia, or England and England. In the Ashes, as we speak, I think England's big problem is that you
mm,
know they'll be two done for nothing, and then the match starts. So if you're 10 for 2 every time, and then you get Root and Malan to try and dig you out of a hole, and it's all defensive batting, Australia just remains on top. And that I think we negated that with KL Rahul. You expected Root to fire. I just think his talent is unbelievable, and KL Rahul showed that if he really puts his foot down, uh, you know and he's again batted everywhere. He's one of those guys who you mentioned Hanuman Vihari, but he batted everywhere. Nishad, we have to take a break. My sponsor, who's still to come on, says that take a break now because if
okay,
we follow the rules, then it's very clear. We're expecting sponsorship from the government of Thailand. What did you think?
okay. So
Yes.
I'd like to know what the ad is.
Ah, just a simple massage between friends. That's the copy. Okay, we're taking a break. We're bringing in the man who hates cricket, the one and only, the spectacular, the beautiful, live from Powai, Silvery. Tales from Panchkani with Silvery. Silvery, do come in.
Hello, hello, sir.
I've got,
How are you
I've
doing?
got good news and bad news, Silvery. The good
Yeah,
news is that you're here. The bad news is we
yeah.
still have got a few matches to talk about
Damn
because
it.
I'm going as fast as I can to cover here. And Shavik Bakshi opens the batting in Rohit Sharma style, plays
Yeah,
this
so it's a
through mid
nice
wicket for
understand.
four.
Yeah. I'm alive, guys. This is me. This is not a body double. This is I haven't gotten an
And
extra something to fill
no
in the
yawning
body.
today. No Kunal
I'll try my
DNF.
best.
No yawning.
I actually have
It's
an
just
article.
India winning in Gabba. Okay, it's not that boring. It's just that.
Yeah, yeah.
My God,
Yeah.
Nishad.
I do have an article from News 18 which talks about the year ender 2021 top moments from the world of cricket in 2021, and
And
some of the things like Gabba you've already talked about, the Gabba
Gabatwa.
heist. Yeah,
Huh.
they also have the New Zealand World Champions finally. Did you guys already talk about that?
Yeah,
Yeah, we did.
we took
Okay.
we took our punches. We
Okay.
took our
But
punches.
it
Rodriguez
was more from the
roars.
Indian
One thing,
perspective.
how do you not know that as the producer? Would you not be listening to the last half an
Yeah,
hour?
yeah.
We
But
spoke in
man,
depth about New Zealand,
yeah,
India. There
yeah.
was a
But
proper
how much? Yeah, like
conversation.
how much will I pay attention to cricket?
Yeah.
I can't even.
If it was a lecture in college, Silvery
Yeah,
would have definitely bunked this one. Oh, Silvery.
yeah, yeah.
We've
I
got a
was.
Well,
comment.
why
Someone
lie?
saying you've just woken
Just
up.
accept what. No, no, yeah. See, the thing is, there are a few guys who are actively
Yeah,
watching
correct.
this podcast, so
He'll
that now
wake up.
they just know us
Yeah,
through and through. They're like our psychiatrists. There's no
yeah,
point
yeah.
lying. So he's got to put his hand up and say, "Yes, you're right. I hate this episode. I hate this topic." Yeah. If we were at a cocktail party, Nishad, you and me are cricket nerds. So we drive away people. Certain people. Only the cricket lovers would come next to us. So because I don't, it's like a caste system. Just a, did you kiss me on live podcast? Chicks dig this. Uh, yeah, yeah. That's not my sister. Huh? That's my wife.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Now this is the show he likes. Now Silvery is back. Ah, this is good comedy.
Yeah. I
Oh,
can get Aisha back. We'll talk anything but
he
cricket.
hates cricket.
Yeah,
Hates cricket
I'm
means
sure.
used to say things like, "But I thought Lara is a model." Who, by the way, was an actress by then. That's a double
Uh,
Yeah.
slap. But anyway, yeah,
uh,
they're making fun of you. Uh,
no,
she's
you're making
she's
fun
a,
of her.
she's at second slip. There's not much I can do. There you go. Live on the podcast to keep Silvery interested. The host is shot dead. There you
Oh,
go.
someone,
2 point.
but look at that comment. Someone has said Silvery is the Ravi Shastri of this podcast. Now, someone's got to explain that.
Okay, now I'll
I have
explain
no
Shut
this
up,
idea what
then
that
because
is.
explain.
I'll tell you. Okay, and what
He
he's trying to
drinks a
say is
lot.
no, and also there's some people think that Ravi doesn't do anything. Okay, so Ravi
Oh,
just
nice,
we win the match because Ravi comes and hey boys, well played, everybody well played, and goes back to the bar. Okay,
nice.
it's not Ravi Shastri. I mean, he's
Yeah,
actually a
yeah.
very good man motivator, but nobody ever takes that into consideration. Just look at him as this guy who talented bunch of people go park, bat, bowl.
No, but
He's
but
off.
but also the fact that people don't give him enough credit. I mean, I know, but he's taken it so sportingly. I mean, he's like,
Mm.
if people want to
He's a
have him at
he's
my
a
expense,
great
they
guy,
can.
Nishad. He's
Oh yeah,
he's a great guy because when they used to I don't know if you were around when they used to jeer him. I've been in Wankhede and I'm looking around these guys going Shastri hi hi. So why? For no reason.
yeah.
They would just pick on
Mm.
him, the only cricketer in my generation
And
growing up.
he found a way to keep Steven Smith and Labuschagne quiet last year. You've got to give him
Forget
that.
that. This is the best coaching. Go back for 4 years. The best coaching red ball record. Do the match.
Absolutely.
Do the match and show me. He's number one.
And
No
when
one's
he
talking about the fact that he's number one. Last four
and when
years,
he
Ravi
started
Shastri is number one.
in 2017, I remember when Ravi Shastri started, he said this team is going to achieve a lot more than any Indian team has in history. And a lot of people laughed. But today, who's laughing? He is. I mean, his point is proved in Test
I
cricket.
don't think he cares. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He plays his game and he goes and he does have his drink. There's no denying that. So he's off. He doesn't care. But I think the record is second to none, and you got to just respect that. But the same thing I feel bad about is someone like Rahul Gandhi, who may not be as stupid as people think he is. He may not be a great orator. He may not sometimes say the right things in a public place or whatever. But that really doesn't actually add up to much, except that you're not good with spontaneity and with people, which is a different skill set. Nishad, wouldn't you say? Like I think I'm okay with that skill set, but I have no depth to me. So I mean I shouldn't run the show.
Did we
Okay.
lose
Well,
Cyrus?
yeah, we lost Cyrus a little bit. He'll be back. It's fine. In the
Yeah.
meantime, I want to continue the list if I can continue the list with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Next is Rodriguez, Jemima Rodriguez scoring 100 in the 249 in the women's cricket World Cup, if I'm not wrong, women's competition. Again, I know
No,
so little about
was
cricket.
it the 100? In the
The
100.
100, yeah, the
Yeah.
100 was
That was
launched
the
with.
domestic new concept in England. So they got that.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So you saw.
She did really well there.
Oh, cool, nice. Next
I
is
think you've got to
Patel's
send me the link.
memorable homecoming. Okay, I'll send you the link. Patel's
Yeah.
memorable homecoming is another
Who's
one.
memorable homecoming?
Patel. This is Patel's summation of his
Yeah,
mind-bending historic
Ajaz
event
Patel.
in
Yeah, he's
Harding.
Mumbai born. He's Mumbai born. Yeah. So yeah, it was a memorable homecoming coming here and getting 10 wickets in Mumbai. And seriously amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
we've
Very
got so yeah, a lot of things to look forward to. But it's quite odd actually talking cricket with you. I never thought it would happen.
I
But here we
don't
are.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't know anything. It is
And
so funny.
where's Cyrus though? I mean,
Yeah,
where's he
I'm waiting for
gone?
Cyrus to come back. Yeah, this is taking a while. Cyrus, what happened? Okay. One more. We got Polosak creates history. The Australian Claire Polosak continued to break the glass ceiling. She was officiated in several top women's competitions, including the World Cups, and additionally has several firsts to her name thanks to her involvement in a host of matches in men's professional cricket. Okay, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you look at women's cricket and the way the profile has grown for the sport. It's really amazing. And what
Yeah,
really
fantastic.
stands out for me is the fact that there are genuine role models now. They were there earlier, but those role models are now visible, very much there in your face. So young girls around the globe, can look at someone and be really, really inspired. And there's Cyrus with his
Yeah,
ring light. Mine is right here, by the way.
yeah.
Guys, you won't believe what happened. Our Geo internet expired, as in we have to recharge it.
Expired. Oh
Yeah,
wow, what a
the
good
date
one.
Expired.
was today. Nobody checked,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
we
no
didn't
worries.
have
What
the
are you?
money. Amit, if you're listening, it expired. How much is it, Aisha?
Sure.
I'm not sure. How much?
Are you on
I think it's all.
hotspot now?
You're on hotspot. I know. There's a second internet, but it took me. I had to
Okay.
walk up
No.
steps and
It's
yeah.
Malabar Hill, man. Nishad, what are you thinking?
हाँ
They
हाँ
don't
हम लोग
have.
तो गरीब
They
है
have like five internets.
केवल केवल दो exactly we are
Yeah,
nothing. Look at
yeah,
our
yeah.
neighbors 7 8
Yeah,
yeah
yeah.
she each household in Mulberry has 5 chauffeurs and 7 Wi-Fis.
Correct.
Wi-Fi, not wife. Calm
Vibes.
down, calm down. The one with the wife has no chauffeurs and nothing left, all taken. Yeah. Okay, guys,
Okay.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I'm a third world man living in a first world country. You may hear my dad coughing in the background, beyond my control. Um, where were we?
We were looking at, yeah, it was Silvery. He was running a cricket conversation with us, and there are
Trying
viewers
really hard
asking
to.
us.
Oh God, I feel
Trying really
really
hard to
bad.
keep that
I,
going.
I, I mean, what the hell have I done here? The one
Yeah.
topic I left him in the lurch. Anything else he'd have carried on with aplomb. And now
Yeah.
we
I
leave
mean,
him
this is
with
it.
a
I
cricket
had no idea.
nerd. One of the top of the line cricket nerds. It's like you might as well be a Russian guy and a French guy trying to have a conversation. You know, I mean, what fun that would be.
Man,
Yeah.
man.
But
Thanks.
if we get before we do AMAs, we haven't got into the IPL. We'll have to just move forward now. The IPL had two parts. Did you think, and you were there, you're in the middle of the IPL, did you feel that the second half lost a little of its sizzle? Or is it fair for you to say this in the first? I'm just asking you as an observer, in terms of the fact that once it goes to the Gulf, it doesn't have the sort of impact. I'm sure they'll understand that that's, I mean, it's fair to say that it
Well, you
has
know
it at
what?
home.
I mean, for us, like, having been there, we found the sizzle because the crowds were back. And the vibe was back. And just to see, even if it was that one game, just to see MS boss the attack at the end and get his team
One
home,
game, it was
it
one
was
over.
worth it.
Yeah, it was
One
one over.
over. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was I mean, for
So
those moments, I think, and then Harshal Patel doing very well. I think we we had to look at those moments, especially getting to watch Harshal Patel's hat trick and MS doing all that. So, and the crowds coming back, that for me was a highlight. And seeing, walking out there, I remember on the 19th of September when the first game after comeback, and just seeing the crowd back, and it just made me feel so good.
and what was Nishad Pai Vaidya, Pai Vaidya's position as a bubble person? That because I remember talking to you, and how was that for you? They all talk about this cricket fatigue and mental fatigue, blah blah blah. But what people don't know is the whole circus is in the bubble,
Yeah.
which means you
So
guys have suffered as much as the cricketers because you're stuck. And what do you do? For example, you just sit in your room.
we sit, luckily, once you have obviously cleared all the tests and you're a part of the bubble, you can, like, so we had common areas we could sit. So we had a common room where I'd set up a PlayStation, there was a carom board, and we would just play PS. Luckily we had gym access, so which
So
was
you could
part of the
interact. You
bubble.
could interact with the players and other officials and all that.
No, so we, as an organizing for the IPL, we were in another hotel, but when we moved to the T20 World Cup, we moved to another hotel.
Was
So
it a
it was
cheaper hotel, Nishad?
no, it was the World Cup. It was a bigger hotel actually, because we were with we were with one of
Because
the
you
teams.
guys are
So
winners, whatever happens. Well, there only one team wins in the end. The rest don't deserve five
yeah.
star because they didn't
Mm.
win. Yeah,
and
but
and
but
I
but
remember
was it hard?
I told it was. I mean, being having been in the bubble, being a foodie, I became a bit of a bubble myself.
Yeah.
and
You ate some illegal
so
meat, which is illegal in Uttar Pradesh. I know that. You sent me a picture. That was wrong of you, bro. Apologize
uh,
to the government and the country. Say the truth
oh,
now.
so sorry, so sorry.
Yeah,
But
but no,
Tiger
I was
meat. You're
just
talking about tiger meat is illegal. Yeah.
tiger meat. Yeah, don't ever
Yeah.
do that.
tiger.
But
Yeah.
coming back to the fact that because we read these articles where they talk about mental fatigue and what we're going through and blah 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 blah, and this is Australians, English, Indians, all have spoken.
Hmm.
This is across the world. And sometimes I think, look, guy, I would do anything to be you. I don't mind if they put me in a 5-7 for 3 bloody months, because I'm playing for India. I wear the cap. I get to, face Australia's best bowlers. I mean, so from one point of view, I'm wondering, is it really that bad? Some of them get to keep their families with them, but then they are locked in a confined
They
space.
are locked,
Are
and
you
for
worse? So that
me, 2 months, it was tricky. It wasn't easy, it was tricky. Got through it. But I'm thinking of these guys who have been in it for 6 months. Like, there have been very few intervals in between, and so it gets it. I mean, if it was tricky for me for 2 months,
did
even
you?
for me, it's an amazing opportunity being there. But for
Yeah.
these guys also, having been around for 6 months in various
Yeah,
bubbles,
and
it
back to
does
back.
get to you.
They get a
Yeah.
few days off and go back again. It's bubble, but they're
Yes.
bubbles. They're not cricketers anymore. At the end of the day, it's just a bunch of bubbles.
Yeah,
But
you go from one bubble to another.
is it true, Nisha, that lots of women visited your room and broke the bubble cordon in a sense?
Okay, that'll get me into real trouble. Just an insinuation. I'll get into trouble with that, with the anti-corruption
For
officers.
not
Then,
being gay? How dare you? For not being gay? This is a new politically correct world.
oh,
How dare you
uh,
not be gay?
oh, there, it's buzzing already. The anti-corruption officer in me.
Ah,
What?
there you
You're
go.
on Cyrus
You're
show?
top of the
Smashing.
list. You're top of the list when it comes to that. Okay. Shall we take the AMAs? And of course,
Yes.
then we come to
Absolutely.
the South African series, but I'm sure we'll get questions on that, so we can go straight into it.
Sure.
Uh, Silvery at
Absolutely.
his best, reading out the
The
notes now.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah. I'm
worry.
the
We
best
don't
at
have to
this.
discuss. Don't discuss the game. Don't
This
get
is
through it.
this is it.
But
Yes.
but
Yes.
Silvery, if
Imagine.
just one question as we start. Did you ever feel the kind of buzz that we felt when India beat Australia, or when India loses in the T20 against the run of players, against smaller names, so to speak? Did any of this
Uh,
affect you, or the England?
I mean, no, I get a little bit more passionate if there's a World Cup going on. Like I'll humor watching matches a little bit more.
But your friends must be
But
cricket crazy, like when you're with
exactly,
your group.
they are, and I get very bored on cricket on match days. I just try to
You
move
need
on.
to share the bubble. Imagine if you got a job, great money, so you had to do it, and you're like a
Yeah,
statistician or
yeah.
whatever. Nishad gets you a job. I would love to see you trapped with only cricket-loving people for 4 months.
Man, I've
Wow.
actually, so my brother and my dad are huge cricket buffs. Like my brother, though, he's like you, Cyrus. He knows dates, he knows like everything, all history and all
You
properly. He
say
knows
it
it.
like
Like
it's a bad thing.
no, yeah, exactly. So
Shameful
they
guy
take,
wasted his life
so
knowing
we,
Hanif
yeah,
Muhammad's statistics.
loser. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they go, so we've gone for like actual matches at Wankhede and at DY Patil both. And I'm always just like, "Ha, okay, ठीक है, match चल रहा है." My brother's like all excited.
Kabhi tak hai,
It's
kabhi
very
tak hai.
weird. Yeah.
Is
So
this
I
the
feel
last
bad.
over? Only
Yeah, I
you
feel
and the batsman ask the same
yeah,
question. Umpire, is
yeah,
this the last over?
yeah. This is the last one. Yes, exactly.
Cool, yeah.
Exactly.
Chalo, let's take
All right,
some.
cool. This one comes from Girish Patel. He says, after recent not so subtle comments about Shastri and Kohli by Ashwin, do you think Kohli would retire early and fuck off without frustration? Out of frustration.
There's no, Nishad, I'm asking a question which is awkward for you to answer because you're now slightly from the admin side also because you're almost involved in everything. Um, is it going to affect Kohli because the power of Kohli seems to have been cut by Ganguly? There seems to definitely be some disparity there, and there seems to definitely when Ravi was there, the old selectors were there. Virat was the god. Okay, it looks like they're trying to make sure he's not the god anymore. Is that? I think that's fair to say. Yes or no?
I'm not really sure because you've got it made logically. I mean, as it was said that you could have only one white ball captain. Now, Test cricket, I see him continuing, and that's what it may be the case. But what I'm really concerned about at the moment is his own batting form, because he's just getting out against the run of play, and but I expect him to really score big and have that resurrection of
It's
sorts.
still only 12 tests. It's not the longest run. The Michael
Yeah,
Clark's gone through it.
not a
Richards has
long
gone through it.
run.
Sachin has gone through it to some
Yeah,
extent. So I mean, I think we should not overdo it. But I hear what you're saying. When you're attacking Pujara and you're attacking Rahane, is you're also looking at the statistics over the same period of time almost. Because you are saying 1.5 years, but with this pandemic going on, you played much better. Just look at the
hmm.
innings, the amount of innings played. That's the important figure, and they're almost close to each other. So
But
yeah,
what works for Kohli is the fact that he also plays white ball cricket and has done decently well there. Hasn't got the 100, but his average is quite good. So
but the
that
50
too
overs, how much have we
works.
played?
Yeah,
After
we've not played a
2019,
lot.
how many games have we played? And then he takes
Those
rest
three
also there.
those three ODIs against Australia in Australia, and then three against England. So not
That's
many.
it.
But then
Yeah.
yeah. So I think
So,
that also works a little bit in Virat's
but
favor.
but you
But
think he'll turn it around? Because if he doesn't, then that becomes 15 tests. If he doesn't get, say, a big innings, not even 100, I'm saying if he gets an important 84, that's good enough. Ultimately how the state of the match, how the innings places in the state of the series. So let's. But he's too good a player. It's too early for him to be. He's only 34, 33, 34.
I don't think what I mean. Everyone said this about Sachin when he was
Yeah,
34, and
yeah,
in 2007
and he's
India
still
lost the
playing.
World Cup. And you see the resurrection. I think what this T20 World Cup exit, maybe whatever has happened on the outside, who knows, it could possibly inspire Virat to have that resurrection in a way that he pushes himself the way Tendulkar did and score all those runs in those last few
And I'm
years.
hoping, sorry, being in South Africa, a little away from the Indian media, somewhat. If we can just shut his, laptop and phone a little bit here and there, it may help him because there's just too much controversy, and now this whole Ganguly baiting thing that's going on. I mean, no one's going to let that go. And Rohit Sharma questions asked of him point blank every day. Every day he has to answer the question. Oh, there's nothing wrong between me and Rohit. I have no problem. I will play. I'll never let down
Yeah.
the country. Blah blah blah. I mean, it's unnecessary. Sorry, let's take in some more. I talk too much.
Sure,
Nishad
sure.
should be answering.
Next one comes in from Rake. He says, "What would be the next big progress that cricket would make? T20 seems to get all the experiments. Do you think we will ever have 11 bowlers from one team bowling to 11 batsmen? Then the
Yeah,
other way."
look, I would have 10 years back, Nishad, 15 years back. Sorry, I'll just say this much and I'll let you answer it properly. I would have said don't talk rubbish because we were still up to your generation raised as classical test match lovers.
Yeah.
But right now, I've seen the T10 and I'll be honest with you, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the T20. I enjoy all forms. I can't say I don't. You just, there's a contest, there's a bat and a ball, you enjoy it. Now, I will let you give a wise answer. Go
True,
ahead.
true. T10 is the way forward, I would say. I know I'm a purist. I love my test cricket, but T10 will take cricket to the Olympics. And that is the vision. I was fortunate. I was invited to watch T10 cricket in the UAE after
I
the
watched that
World
whole
Cup.
series. I watched the whole
You
thing.
watched it, right? The
Yeah,
T10.
almost every game. Yeah,
Yeah.
the timing
Yeah,
just suited me.
and you know what, everyone there, whoever's working on the event, they do believe it could take cricket to the Olympics. And yes, I think that will really truly possibly globalize
I've
the
got a
game.
terrible thing to say. Markasam, can I say it? Oh my God. Can you believe that 30 years from now, there'll be people who think of T20 lovers as specialists, purists, classic, orthodox, boring people.
Yeah.
T20. Because now there's like a 2 over cricket game, or I don't know. What do you think? Bro,
Five
wow.
overs
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. We can't laugh about this anymore. Look at the way it's evolved the last 10 to 15 years. It's ridiculous. Ask Silvery, he can't keep up with the game anymore. Just when he's interested and learning a little bit about Chetan Chauhan and Gavaskar
Yeah.
coming to open,
They change the
they've
rules.
gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
Change the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it
No.
sounds funny and flippant, but it may. What do you say? Is it possible that comedy imitates art in a sense, and then cricket becomes that?
it's funny because when in 2007 when the T20 World Cup was announced, 2006-7, and initially the BCCI and a few other boards, they were not very keen to participate, especially the Asian ones. And one of our board officials at the time had said that, why 20 overs, why not 10, why not 5, and then later
Sarcastically,
yeah, sarcastically. And
who
then
is
there
the
was a
name?
compromise
Name the
worked
name.
out.
Name the name. Is he a
Ah.
Padma Shri? He should be.
But you know what, and then
Uh,
there was a compromise that happened behind the scenes where ICC got BCCI to agree to participate, and the rest is history. As we know, in
Could this
2007
be
India won
because
that.
without India you cannot run this game? Is it possible? I don't want to brag, but is it possible, Nisha? Uh,
Possible.
ठीक
you
है, ठीक है. Don't be stereotyping in racist words and using all this on the podcast. Sylvie, take another question.
Sure. Next one comes in from, okay, another Rake question. He says, "What do you think is the possibility of Pant ever opening? left-hand opener opens up middle order spot.
Maybe on
One
Indian
day
wickets.
cricket.
Yeah, maybe on Indian wickets, we have a special squad and reasons for the wicket deteriorating. You want him up front, and then have other batsmen come later. Maybe I can't. I still believe it's a specialist position, and they get exposed like Nishad. So please listen to this podcast from the beginning if you're a cricket lover. Explains the importance of openers. You don't think nowadays everybody says it's interchangeable T20 cricket. You bat where you have to depending on the team. But when you go to England and you go to Australia as a foreign country, you have to bring two openers who can really stare them down. Right now, the Ashes is going on, and we can see the difference between India and England, as he quite rightly mentioned. KL and Rohit rising to the occasion, and now we're probably going to have 5 or 6 openers by the end of the Ashes from England's side, and that includes players who have never opened, from what I'm hearing in podcasts. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think Pant as an opener in ODIs could be a good idea because he did it for the erstwhile Delhi Daredevils, which is now Delhi Capitals, and he did
yeah.
quite a decent job of it. So I would say just the way Australia handled Adam Gilchrist and him
But yeah,
opening
but
in
Rohit,
ODIs.
but you got Rohit Sharma, you've got KL Rahul. I mean, you got to look at it from a fact of the matter is where you're batting everyone anyway. You can't. I would. How does Pant get into the opening position? By 1, 2, and 3 in white ball cricket, for me, Kohli, KL, and Rohit have to come in. I
Yeah,
can't see. I can't see anybody else coming in.
it's an idea. Maybe
Yeah,
after the 2023 World Cup, maybe later when you've got
yeah,
a change,
maybe.
or maybe some of these guys decide to call it time. Possibly, it's
Yeah.
an idea. It's an idea
Okay.
worth considering.
Okay. So then, Rake will listen to what you have to say. Stay in touch with that BCCI selector who made fun of 10 T20 became T10. Now T10 is becoming T5, and they call him up. He's sweating buckets. He's like, "Ah, मैंने क्या बोला?" Come on, take 1, 2 more. Whoa, still.
Sure.
Hurry up, hurry
Next
up.
one comes in from Harvesh Kasad. He says, "Hello all. If you
Uh,
had to rate
Harvespa.
India's Harvespa, correct?
Harvespa. You
Sorry,
met him. You
Harvespa.
spoke to him. You
Sorry,
held
yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
hand. You went for a walk in the pale moonlight. And this
Yeah.
is the respect.
Harvespa Kasad has said, "Hello all. If you had to rate India's top 5 Test victories ever, which are the ones you will rate in those top 5?"
But we have to the Lala Abhinanath. I mean, there were not too many in the old days, but 71, you can't just let go of that. That's damn tough for me. I would say 71 West Indies, very important. England, which followed 71 Vadikar's twin tours. So you got victories there. I have to put them in. The Lakshman Test match, and he's still going to be the Lakshman Test match. Harbhajan took all those wickets, and Rahul Dravid 180. It's the Lakshman Test match. I mean, it's just incredible. That's 3. I want to put the 1986-20 Chetan Sharma series, at least the one that clinches the series for us. If I had to take one of the two,
Was that the same
because
series where you were called Bombay at Lords?
yes, yes. But can you believe it? I got to watch with India on top in England, and in the decade before, the decade after, barring 71, and then all the way into the early 2000s, there was nothing else. They hammered us every time otherwise. So, I had a session. I watched Vengsakar and Maninder. Vengsakar getting 100, and I was Maninder. Worried that Maninder will get out. He was number 11, and my memory of that is fantastic. But the fact of the matter is, again, you didn't expect India to win like the World Cup in '83. So I will put it there. Then the Gabba has to come in. So I'll have to keep the England, because I felt this England tour where we've done really well. I felt our talent is better than theirs, and I honestly felt, if you're, without being racist, and not racist is the right word. What is the word, yeah? When you favor your own partisan, you're being really stupidly jingoistic and partisan. I felt on paper we're beating this team. I really felt that, and we discussed
Hmm.
that, and we said, yeah, we are. Look at they have one batsman. We had six. We had six batsmen. With Jadeja also, as a player, as an
True,
all-rounder, as a better batsman at 5 or 6 than any of theirs. Okay, sorry.
true.
So
And
Harvespa, those are the 5 I've got. But Nishad, you agreed with me, or you want to change any?
71, the 71 victories.
Yeah,
Then you've got the Lakshman victory has to be there.
yeah,
Then I'm going to go for Perth 2008 as well.
yeah.
I'm
Okay,
going to go for Perth
because
2008,
they had all that
and
emotion and all that happened just
yes,
before that. So
yeah,
okay, I forgot about that one. I'll give you
yeah,
that.
and
So let's
and
make it
Gabba,
6 then.
yeah, and Gabba 2021.
That
So
was too much.
yeah,
But if I have to pick
Hmm.
one, and Ajit Wadekar, as much as I love you, I will pick Lakshman's Test match in 2000. I
Oh,
just
that has
cannot.
to
I
be.
cannot believe that. I cannot believe at the end of the day they're still batting. It was like that was India. That's the Indianness about us. It's like
Hmm.
we'll just outdo you. A little bit of attrition, lots of great stroke play, but at the end of the day they just stood their ground. Fabulous. I mean, Silvery was born that year. What a beautiful year it was. Yes,
Silvery
Silvery.
is just zoned out, I think.
No, he's completely. He's dead. He's
I really want
finished.
to hear Silvery's answer for this. I don't
Arpit,
know.
these are better questions.
No. For
Silvery,
top
give
five test moments, God.
five test moments, victories. Yeah,
The 5 test matches that happened, they were pretty good. The
yeah.
last five
That's
test matches. Yeah, yeah. Just count those backwards and you'll know. Okay.
okay. Let's take one last one. I have to find
Sure, sure.
Mahakali
This last
Caves
one.
tomorrow and shoot something so that my kids have food on the table.
Sure, sure. This one comes in from Tanmay. He says, what, according to you, is this year's best sport moment? Was it India's
Sport
series win
moment.
in India's series win in
No, the gold
Australia,
medal.
or any
The gold
Olympic
medal.
moment, or
Gold medal.
Verstappen winning F1 championship on the last lap of the season?
Yeah, that's funny. I like that as well because Lewis Hamilton is like tends to look unbeatable again. I'm going with Neeraj Chopra. Are we schoolboys at heart, Nishad? That a gold medal in the Olympics so rare. This is the second time for us. It just did you just feel superb? What match is that?
Oh, you know what? I think that is the number one moment. Neeraj Chopra winning the gold, and it's just when the second throw and the way it went, and you just look. I mean, it's not just about winning the gold medal, but he looked way above the rest on the day. He was the best on the day, and it was phenomenal. And yeah, today, interestingly, I was at that IISM, the Sports Management Institute, and they've got nice murals around, or art designs of various sports people. There's a new wall there with all the medalists from 2020 Olympics from India, and the Neeraj Chopra's artwork is first, and they got him to come there and sign it. And
Wow.
just looking at it, I mean, I've never met the guy, but just looking at it, I had goosebumps. It was because what
Yeah.
it means. And for me, what really really made it even more special is that Neeraj Chopra tells Jeev Milkha Singh that this one's for your dad, because someone who wanted more than anyone the gold medal in athletics for India,
I
and he couldn't live to see the day.
I was so upset, in fact, when apparently when he couldn't find it, his javelin, and asked some lady, "Have you seen my javelin?" And she filed a police case. And I thought that was like so unnecessary. I'm Silvery, I'm just keeping you in the game, bro. I'm just feeling you're
Yeah.
left out.
Thanks.
You no interest in Neeraj
Yeah.
Chopra, who won a
Yeah,
gold
yeah.
medal
Hey,
in
man.
Test cricket, in
Yeah.
white ball cricket. The only time you wake up is if Rohit Sharma is fighting with Virat Kohli. Then your little bit of
Yeah.
interest is there. I don't know. I'm sad.
Correct, correct,
You're
correct.
breaking my heart.
Okay, what do you
Nisha,
think are the odds that Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma get into a fight this coming year?
they never will. They
Never
never
will.
will.
Okay,
Never.
I'm
It's
betting.
all.
I'm
It's
hoping for
possible that
that.
they're not the greatest of friends. It's possible their spouses don't get along, but they'll never get into a fight. This is just ridiculous. I mean, we've discussed this. In
Yeah.
IVM, there are people who don't like each other. Where I work, different places, there are people who don't really like each other. And what's the big deal? They shouldn't like each other. Would you like everyone to like each other? What are we? How sugary sweet you want the world to be? I'm saying just don't bomb people. That's all. I've got very low expectations. Don't kill anybody, but please hate. Without hate, what do we have? We have nothing. We'll be like flowers. You want to be a flower? You have to be more than oh, by the way, Andy Flower is a Lucknow coach, now that you mentioned it.
Yeah,
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't mind being a flower. Yeah.
we missed one sporting moment quickly.
Yeah.
That wrestler who murdered someone. That was also a good sporting moment.
You know your
Allegedly,
facts.
allegedly. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
allegedly.
allegedly
Alleged
still not.
Yeah,
bro, he's not murdered anyone with his own hand. Not really in that sense. But he was there in the brawl
yeah,
and he was
yeah.
pointing fingers. And by the way, it's all on CCTV footage as well as two phone cameras. So Nishad is alleged, but he is in jail and there's visual evidence. So I
Yeah,
don't want to be the
but
lawyer who
they
has to
have to.
defend them.
The court has to still pronounce its
No, he's
judgment.
going
But
through the
yeah,
appellate system. All that
that's
is
a
fine, but I
that was a
mean, it's
disappointment.
just
Yeah,
I
and
hate to use this word, but it's criminal. A
yeah,
talented
uh,
guy, two-time medalist. I mean, he
and
changed the
iconic,
face of wrestling. Iconic, absolutely. And
absolutely iconic.
why did he need all this shit?
Mm.
That's why when you become my standard, Nishad, and you're like a world champion, you have to understand the responsibility you have to the people of the world, and you have to behave yourself. I don't dig my nose in public anymore. I used to do it. I've stopped.
Look at that comment, though. You've got
Rasim
to see
Dasa
that.
Yeah,
said, England
yeah.
losing after singing it's coming home for a month.
Well, they didn't make the ad. They didn't make the ad. We made the ad. So
Uh,
we made them like that. We
uh,
just bully everyone in cricket, off the field and on the field. I'm sorry about that. The world has changed. Nishad, sorry. Wonderful talking to you. Have a very
Absolutely.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Quick prediction as
Same
we
to
pull
you.
out here. Thank you. Prediction for well, it was Johannesburg. It is now Centurion. India.
Only Centurion or the whole series?
We'll take Centurion first because that's what's
Okay.
2 days away.
Centurion, I expect a draw because it's going to rain. The forecast is really
correct.
bad. Yeah.
Right. So that's like practice match. So then we save that one, then we should take them down.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Get
Uh,
your eye in with this one.
yeah, get a little batting done, between 30, 40 overs
Yeah.
in each inning, something like that. Silver, your prediction?
Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli will fight.
Rohit
Who will
Sharma is
win?
not even on tour.
Oh
Yeah,
shit, he
yeah.
doesn't even know
No idea.
that.
I don't
Oh
even know that.
Christ. Oh man. I mean, no, bro, let's do one thing. Let's get a Bharatnatyam expert next time, and you and I will ask
Yeah.
questions on a field we have no idea about. Okay, it'll be
My, my,
great
my,
fun.
my sister-in-law is a classically trained Bharatanatyam dancer.
Let's get her for the cricket
Same.
show.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's make it happen.
Okay, bye guys.
All right, thank
See
you.
ya. Bye bye.